Isis and Osiris, the eternal love of the Nile and the price of treachery. Warj. Introduction, Creation and the Golden Age. In the deep embrace of Nun, the primordial abyss, and by the divine decree of Ra, the sun god, the world of Kemet, ancient Egypt, was brought into existence. This land, a ribbon of life carved by the mighty Nile, was initially ruled by the gods themselves. When the time came, the supreme kingship passed to the noble Osiris, the elder son of Earth, Geb, and Sky, Nut. Osiris was not a tyrant of lightning like Zeus. He was a benevolent sage. He taught the scattered nomadic people how to sow the seeds of barley, how to press the grapes into wine, and how to quarry the granite to build enduring monuments. Under his rule, life was a continuous celebration of Ma'at, the sacred cosmic order. The fields were eternally green, the laws were just, and the people worshipped their king and his consort, Isis. Isis was the goddess of the moon, magic, motherhood, and wisdom, the Great Sorceress, whose knowledge surpassed all others. She was the intellectual pillar upon which Osiris's benevolent reign stood. Their love was a reflection of the perfect harmony they instilled in the land. Yet this perfection bred resentment in the heart of Set, Osiris's volatile younger brother. Set was the embodiment of Isfet, chaos, the red desert's brutal heat, the uncontrolled storm. While Osiris's light shone over the fertile black land, Set was confined to the barren red land. He seethed, consumed by a fierce, corrosive envy. Every cheer for Osiris was a knife in Set's side, every overflowing harvest a painful reminder of his own desolate domain. He saw Osiris's peace not as order, but as stagnation, a suffocating blanket beneath which true power could not breathe. This poison of envy finally coagulated into a plan worthy of the god of violence. Second Set's treachery and the elaborate trap. Set decided the time for subtle sabotage was over. He announced a magnificent feast in Osiris's honor, a false gesture of reconciliation, masking the ultimate act of betrayal. The banquet hall was opulent, filled with the flickering light of scented oil lamps and the clatter of gold dishes. Tanrıların kahkahaları yankılanıyordu. Ancak hava Set'in sinsice yaydığı gerilimle ağırdı. Then Set brought forth his deadly gift, a stunning, intricate chest fashioned from the finest cedar wood, overlaid with dazzling lapis lazuli and sheets of electrum. Set, dialogue with a calculated smile. My esteemed brother, Lord Osiris, and fellow deities, I have commissioned this grand sarcophagus, no, this treasure chest, as a monument to eternal craftsmanship. Its singular purpose is to perfectly house the most divine form among us. The first god to fit precisely within this chamber of artistry shall receive it as a testament to their perfection. One by one, the lesser gods, fueled by vanity, tried the chest, but it was invariably too short or too long. The suspense was a palpable, intoxicating wine to Set. Finally, the confident, unsuspecting Osiris approached. Osiris, dialogue graciously. A splendid creation, brother, though I suspect its grand scale might be an exaggeration even for my own divine form. Nevertheless, I shall try it. Osiris lay down. It was a perfect, chilling fit. In that heartbeat of silence before the applause could begin, Set's 72 co-conspirators, demon-like figures of the desert, stormed the hall. They instantly sealed the lid. The sound of heavy hammers striking the cushion, molten lead bolts reverberated, silencing the music and the laughter. Osiris's realization, his final, desperate struggle, was muffled to a horrific, struggling silence within the luxurious trap. Set, he is gone. The effete tyrant is silenced. I am the new lord of Kemet. Let the winds of the desert sweep away this stagnant Ma'at. Set ordered the heavy sealed coffin to be cast into the turbulent currents of the Nile, ensuring it would be swept far away from the land Osiris had nurtured. 3. Isis's epic journey of grief. The news of Osiris's murder and Set's swift, brutal coronation shattered the harmony of Egypt. Isis's grief was immediate and profound. She was stripped of her divine composure, her regal status cast aside. She dressed in the ragged clothes of a traveling mourner and began a relentless, agonizing search. She was accompanied only by her loyal sister, Horus, the goddess of the air, who had secretly betrayed her husband Set to aid Isis. Isis did not rely on her supreme magic initially. She relied on sheer, heartbroken determination, questioning every fisherman, every farmer, every passerby on the riverbanks. Isis, have you seen a great chest, gilded and sealed with lead? It holds the light of my world. Her search led her across the Mediterranean Sea. The coffin, carried by the currents, had reached the port of Byblos in Phoenicia. Here, the sand had cradled the chest, and a young tamarisk tree had spontaneously grown around it, its roots drawing strength and life from the divine corpse within. The tree grew swiftly into an immense pillar of fragrant wood, revered for its miraculous size. The local king, Malcander, had the tree cut down and installed as a central pillar in his palace hall. Isis, disguised as an elderly, sorrowful woman, sensed the presence of her love. She found a position nursing the young prince of Byblos, where her magical influence, a divine, nurturing aura, brought the boy back from the brink of death. The queen, Astarte, grateful and astonished, offered the humble nurse anything she desired. Isis, my queen, I ask only for that beautiful, enormous pillar that holds your main hall. Let me have that wood, and I shall trouble your kingdom no more. When the pillar was opened, the chest was revealed. Isis let out a cry of such sorrow that the entire palace mourned with her. She finally, triumphantly, brought the remains of her husband back to the secluded swamps of the Nile Delta, seeking a safe haven among the reeds to perform her most powerful magic. 4. The Dismemberment. Set's rage unleashed. Isis's brief respite was cruelly terminated. Set, in his relentless paranoia, learned of the coffin's return. His rage was not just over a throne. It was the fury of Isfet, chaos, against Ma'at, Zin order, embodied in one body. He attacked the swamp sanctuary. Seeing his brother's body almost whole, Set erupted in a terrifying primal tantrum. He seized Osiris's body and tore it, not just once, but with savage, methodical brutality, into 14 distinct pieces. To ensure his annihilation, Set hurled each piece to a different corner of Egypt, throwing some into the arid desert, some into the deepest parts of the Nile, and some to the marshy borders. The vital part, the phallus, was tragically swallowed by an oxyrhynchus fish, making the body incomplete. Once again, Isis began her mournful odyssey. This time, it was a forensic, magical quest. She traveled the length of Egypt in a papyrus bark, accompanied by Nephthys and Anubis, the jackal-headed son of Osiris's sister, later adopted by Isis. Anubis, the nascent god of embalming, helped his adoptive mother locate the scattered fragments. Isis's magic was meticulous. Each piece found, a foot in the south, a hand near the delta, was preserved by a magical shroud. This patient, heartbreaking assembly was the original act of mummification. Isis, aided by Thoth, the god of wisdom who provided the spells, began to bind the pieces. She used her own divine essence, linen, and resins to create the first mummy. Anubis, mother, your determination defies death itself. What magic shall hold him? Isis, the magic of Ma'at's son, the magic of unending love and justice. I shall grant him life enough for the continuation of the bloodline. Isis, hovering over the mummy in the form of a kenner bird, used her wings to generate a vital breath and her most potent spells to rekindle the flame of life in her husband's body. Just for a moment, the mummy lived, and in that sacred, magical union, Horus was conceived, the perfect, divine Avenger. V. The Battle for Vengeance. Horus verse. Set Isis raised her son, Horus, in absolute secrecy among the papyrus reeds of the Delta. She instilled in him not only the nobility of his father, but also her own potent magic and the burning necessity for vengeance. Horus grew to be a majestic figure, the falcon-headed god whose eyes were the sun and the moon. When he reached full maturity, the Great War began. It was a chaotic, prolonged struggle, a mythological version of the battle between Ma'at and Isfet. Set and Horus met in numerous duels across the sands of Egypt. In one devastating battle, Set tore out Horus's left eye, the Wedjat, moon eye, symbolizing the temporary triumph of darkness. In return, Horus, with righteous fury, castrated Set, denying the god of chaos his ability to procreate and further spread his chaotic lineage. The conflict was so destructive that it required the intervention of the Ennead, the great council of the gods, led by the elder Ra. The tribunal sat for years listening to the claims. Set argued that Horus was illegitimate, born after Osiris's death. Horus argued that Set's fratricide rendered his rule invalid. Thoth, O great Ra, the murder was an act of Isfet. The succession must follow Maat. Horus, son of the Queen of Magic and the rightful king, is the true heir. Despite Ra's initial bias toward his aggressive son Set, the overwhelming evidence and the wisdom of Thoth prevailed. The tribunal ruled in favor of Horus. 6. Conclusion. The Immortal King. Horus ascended the throne of the living, returning the rule of justice and order to the two lands of Egypt. But what of Osiris? Osiris, having been the subject of the great magic, became the transition point between life and death. He could not return to the land of the living, but his purpose became eternal. He became the undisputed king of Duat, the Underworld.